Well, what's up YouTube? Capital G here talking X-Saber Invoker in this video and asking a question. Do you guys think that this card could be banned on an upcoming forbidden list slash do you guys believe that X-Saber Invoker is actually ban worthy? So I guess I'm not asking a question, I'm asking questions. And truth be told, the first person I kind of heard talk about this or insinuate that X-Saber Invoker was a problem was Dp-Ygo Drew, and I did not agree with it at all. I was just like, no way, just hit Momrat. She is clearly the problem because, you know, Momrat's played in basically everything in the OCG, and I know a lot of people don't like this card because, I mean, let's be real, she probably will be one of the best cards Konami releases the entire year. I personally can't bring myself to hate her because, like, I can't bring myself to hate something this adorable, but when you really think about Invoker, doesn't it always seem to be at the center of all of these ridiculously broken plays where, well, I mean, shit, you guys have probably seen almost all of them on my channel, like the X-Saber loop that I showed yesterday where you can basically take your opponent's entire hand for just kind of a couple of cards, and instant fusion is searchable. You have, like, you don't need any Momorats for that. You don't need any Zodiac Beasts or anything like that. It's just a bunch of X-Sabers, some Predaplants, and looping a bunch of cards out of your opponent's hand. You guys probably remember the Gem Knight video that I showed off, it was probably like 3-4 weeks ago, something like that, where it's basically an FTK. Obviously, you use Invoker, you bring out Momrat, you go into like some Mixies, you would do some fusioning, and then basically you use Lapis Lazuli in conjunction with Blackguard and burn your opponent for 5,000, use Master Diamond, and then copy her effect, burn your opponent for another 5,000, and just all the ridiculous, absurd plays. Like, you guys have probably seen some of those crazy plays with like the Bujin Pendulum cards, and like basically you have like a Terratop, and you can summon like fucking Tierra, and just all of this shit. It always seems that X-Saber Invoker is kind of the card in the middle of it that is basically allowing you to do all this ridiculous shit. And if you would have went back in time when this card came out and you would have told me like, Cap, this is gonna be one of the best cards in the game, it's going to actually be ban worthy, I'd have been like, what the fuck are you smoking? Historically, this card hasn't even been good in its own archetype. Like, this card is what, 3 years old, and it's just becoming good in X-Sabers now. So I'd have been like, you're basically smoking something or something like that. But I think honestly, guys, I could totally see it happening. And you have to understand that Konami really doesn't like things like FTKs and hand loops, and we have one card that kind of enables all of those things. I mean, look at like the wind up loop and how Konami immediately hit Zemighty after that. They discovered the wind up loop, they were like, shit, we gotta get rid of this. Zemighty went from 3 to 1 so that you couldn't pull that off anymore. You look at how aggressive they've been when, you know, FTKs and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying that any of this stuff will be meta, I'm just saying that it's all possible. And you guys know, generally, like, when any of these decks top like a YCS, that's when it kind of gets on Konami's radar. But I honestly think that X-Saber Invoker could be on the chopping block. I also think that if they hit Invoker, then there probably isn't a big need to go after so many other cards and cause a bunch of collateral damage. Like, Tinky was the first card that kind of popped into my head. If you guys don't know Konami's weird history with this card, basically whenever Beast Warriors become the best type in Yu-Gi-Oh, Konami will always go after Fire Formation Tinky. It happened during the Zexo era in the TCG when Bujins and Fire Fist and Constellars were all really big. Konami semi-limited Tinky to 2, and then they kind of just did it again in the OCG where obviously Zodiacs are running everything, and they semi-limited Tinky to 2, and it's like, yeah, it obviously is going to hurt Zodiac Beast, but at the same time, it also, you know, fucks the consistency of my Lunar Light deck, and it's like, what did Lunar Lights ever do to anybody? You know what I mean? You kind of can accomplish the same thing by hitting both of these cards, but one fucks over a bunch of decks, and I mean, let's be real, guys, as I said earlier in the video, X-Sabers didn't even run this fucking card until just now. So it's like, you know what I mean? You can hit a bunch of cards and accomplish a goal, or you can just hit X-Saber Invoker and kind of accomplish that goal. And, you know, don't look past that, guys. Konami and the TCG, they've always been willing to do things outside of the box. You look at when they hit Necros, you look at when they hit Shadows, they hit those decks as hard as they did in the OCG, but they went completely different routes. Like, why is Shurit legal in the OCG, but it got banned in the TCG, but in the OCG they hit things like Necros Cycle that was never limited in the TCG. So Konami has done things differently in the TCG to kind of accomplish the same goals. I believe Windups was a deck where Konami basically hit it differently in the TCG and OCG because Hunter was banned in the OCG, but it was never banned in the TCG. So it could just be something where Konami, after, you know, maybe 6 months down the line, right before Code of the Duelist comes out, they're like, all right, we definitely want to hit Zodiacs, but we don't want to hit any of the actual engines. So let's just take this card out. We haven't reprinted it, so it's not like we're going to make any money off of it anyway. So, you know, this is just food for thought, guys. Not necessarily saying that Invoker needs to be like outright banned or anything like that, because I think people should definitely have time to play around with the cards, but it's definitely something that could happen. And I kind of want to get you guys' opinions on it because it keeps on popping up in my comment section. I mean, fuck, there are even people calling for the banning of like Gotems now that the X-Saber loop is starting to become like general knowledge in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. It's like, yo, you just hit this card, you don't need to hit this card, because what was Gotems doing before that? Like, Gotems wasn't a problem. So anyways, you guys let me know what you think, and leave that in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already.